All right, so you've been really following this Bitcoin thing closely.
Yeah,
And honestly, it's been wild, right? Like breaking records and everyone's talking about it.
absolutely. It's been quite a ride.
So we're diving deep today looking into what's behind this crazy surge
Hmm.
and like what could happen next.
Sounds good.
Especially, for people like you who are already kind of in the crypto world.
Right.
Like, what does this mean for all of us?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so Bitcoin hit a record high recently.
It did.
We saw it go over $100,000 for the first time, like every
Yeah, it was a big moment.
This was on December 5th,
Right.
and it peaked at $103,619.
Wow. Yeah,
Big numbers, right?
it's a huge milestone.
What was your first reaction like when you saw that happen?
I mean, honestly, it was pretty exciting. We've seen Bitcoin go up before,
Yeah.
but breaking through that $100,000 mark,
Yeah,
it just felt different.
totally.
There's like a psychological impact to hitting six figures.
Yeah, it's a whole new level.
For
And it's interesting because this surge is happening at the same time as some pretty big political stuff.
Right.
We had the election, obviously, and Trump's back in office,
Yeah.
and he's been very loud about supporting crypto.
Oh, yeah. He's been very vocal about it.
He even talked about creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the U.S.
Hmm.
What do you think about all that?
Well, it's definitely fascinating to see how Trump is trying to make the U.S. like the center of the crypto universe,
Yeah.
calling it the crypto capital of the planet.
Yeah.
And this idea of a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the U.S., it's wild. Like, can you imagine the government holding Bitcoin like they hold gold?
It's a huge statement.
It would be a major shift in how, like, traditional institutions view crypto.
For sure.
And then you've got Paul Atkins, who's a big crypto supporter.
Right.
He's now in charge of the SEC.
Yeah, the regulatory landscape could change a lot.
Exactly. We might see regulations that are actually good for the crypto industry.
But, political promises, they don't always become reality. Do you really think these moves will actually lead to real changes, or is it too early to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely too early to tell, for sure. We need to see how these policies actually develop.
Right.
But you can't deny that the conversation has shifted,
Yeah,
and that alone can have a big impact on the market.
absolutely. And speaking of the market, we can't forget about how big institutions are getting into Bitcoin now.
Yeah, that's been huge.
Like those Bitcoin ETF that got approved,
Right.
that's opened the door for some major players to invest.
It's a game changer.
You've been watching this closely.
So what do you think these ETFs mean for Bitcoin's future?
Well, they give institutions a way to invest in Bitcoin that's regulated and easier to understand.
Right.
It takes away some of the risk and the uncertainty that kept big investors away before.
Makes sense.
And when these institutions start putting money into Bitcoin,
Yeah.
it makes the whole market seem more legitimate and more
Yeah.
stable.
It's like it gives Bitcoin more credibility.
Exactly. And even Jerome Powell.
The Federal Reserve Chair. Yeah, even he has said that Bitcoin is a real asset class.
Wow.
That's a massive change in thinking from the traditional financial world.
It is. And of course, everyone wants to know what happens next with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Where's the price going? The predictions are all over the place.
It's impossible to say for sure.
Some people say Bitcoin could hit like $204,945.
Wow.
Or even $256,117 by 2025.
That's incredible.
But then you have others who are way more cautious and say it'll be closer to maybe $137,394 by 2030.
Yeah, well, the truth is, nobody really knows.
Yeah,
Crypto is so volatile and unpredictable.
it is.
All these factors driving those predictions, like, more people adopting Bitcoin,
Right.
the limited supply.
And how regulations change.
Exactly. All those things are constantly moving and can change things overnight.
It's a wild ride,
Yeah.
for sure.
Huh.
So based on what you've been seeing, Bitcoin is at this really interesting point, right?
Yeah.
It's got all this momentum pushing it forward, but the future is totally uncertain.
It really is.
Do you think this uncertainty attracts investors, or does it scare them off?
I think it's both.
Interesting.
For some people, the uncertainty is what makes it exciting.
Yeah.
They're willing to take the risk for the potential reward.
Right.
But for others, it's too risky and they'd rather wait and see what happens.
That makes sense.
As Bitcoin grows and matures, finding that balance between its unpredictable nature and getting wider acceptance,
Yeah.
that's going to be key for its long-term success.
That's a great point to think about. This whole deep dive has really shown how far Bitcoin has come.
It has.
It started as this niche technology,
Right.
and now it could potentially reshape the entire financial system.
It's a powerful force.
So as you keep learning about Bitcoin, I want you to think about this question.
Okay.
What role will central banks and governments play in the future of cryptocurrency?
Hmm.
Will they work with it or try to control it?
That's a big question.
It's definitely something to think about as we navigate this new and exciting world.
Yeah, for sure.
This is just the start of your Bitcoin journey. Keep learning, keep being curious, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one shaping what comes next.
Absolutely. Keep exploring. It's a fascinating world.
It is, and thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Bitcoin.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.